happened here?
All right, we'll call to order Safety and Public Works, City of Brainerd. It is August 19th, 7 p.m. in council chambers. We just have 7 items. Do you want to add that in the beginning?
Yes, I'd like to add an item of a stop signs at Fifth Avenue and D Street. If that's the
So
big
8 items total. Yep, we can add that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We can-
We need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, sorry.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, same sign. Motion passes. So we will add the stop sign discussion for 5th Street Northeast and D Street, correct?
Fifth Avenue,
5th Avenue.
D Street, yeah.
All right, first item is Police Department Exterior Repairs Project bid awarding. And I believe this is Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff received 2 bids for the Police Department Exterior Repairs Project. The low bid was from High Tech Construction in the amount of $428,000. The amount available for construction is about $550,000. As a reminder, staff did remove the sidewalk ADA improvements as there was a concern based on the estimate that this work would not be able to fit within the budget. After receiving bids, staff requested a proposal from High Tech to complete the sidewalk ADA improvement work. Their proposal for that specifically was $27,500. So to include this work, the project would total $455,500. Staff is recommending award of the exterior repairs project to High Tech for $428,000 and to further authorize to include the sidewalk improvements for the additional $27,500.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from you guys?
I'd move to approve with the recommendation from city engineer.
Second.
Motion and second. Just to be clear, that does include the 27.5 for the ADA sidewalks, correct?
With the
Okay.
add-on, correct.
All right. And Jesse, just to make sure that extra $94,500 stays in the construction fund then?
Yes, sir. I believe that's where that fund was coming from. It's from the capital fund.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 2, we have a awarding improvement 24-06 Laurel Street Bridge Repair Project bid. Again, this is Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff received 2 bids for the bridge repairs on the east end of the Laurel Street Bridge. The low bidder was Urban Companies in the amount of $151,770. The cost did come in over the original engineer's estimate of $102,000. Costs attributed to mobilization, the joint repair, and the grouted riprap were the main differences in the bid versus the estimate. The costs would be state aid eligible, and staff is recommending award of the Laurel Street Bridge repair to Urban Companies in the amount of $151,770.
Thank you. State aid eligible, just a quick explanation of that.
So we do get a stated allocation every year from the state for certain routes. So this bridge is on one of our state aid routes, so it is repairs to this bridge would be state aid eligible to be used by those dollars. We are in advanced status, so we do have to request from future allocations at this time, but it is an eligible expense towards those costs.
So we could have state aid covering this 100% potentially?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
We get this advance all the time. When are we gonna get out of that?
We're working on a plan to eventually get ourselves out of that hole.
Yeah, but we're not doing it now, so what, is that, anyway, I made my point. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. We have a motion?
I will move that we go forward with the recommended action.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 3, we have a award of South Brainerd Resurfacing Engineering Services proposal. Again, Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in 2025, the capital plan includes a resurfacing project in the Buffalo Hills neighborhood north of Buffalo Hills Lane and west of Graydon Avenue and Woodcrest Road. Staff requested proposals for engineering services, including design and construction services. We did receive 4 proposals, which are attached to this item. After reviewing the proposals, staff is recommending award of the contract to Bolton and Mink. They have committed for additional tasks, including mailing of all the assessment notices and publishing the hearing notices, and are the lowest cost proposal at $68,450. Staff reviewed the proposal and felt that they understood the needs for the project and have proposed a sufficient number of hours needed to perform the necessary work. So staff is recommending award of the engineering services contract to Bolton and Mink in the amount of $68,450.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so I know it's probably premature, but do you have any idea what the cost of this project will be, sans the engineering costs?
So in the capital plan right now, we have roughly about $270,000 identified towards construction costs on this one. That was based on an older resurfacing estimate. We haven't done a resurfacing project in a handful of years, so that may be a little out of date. So it may be a little higher than that.
Yeah, so that's, 30% of the estimated cost? No, it's about, 20%? Less than 25%?
Give or take, yes, sir.
Okay. That's a little high, isn't it, generally speaking, for engineering?
It depends on the scope of the project. I'll reference like the Lum Park State Park Road Account project. That was closer to the 25% level, if I remember correctly, or even 30%. Some of those lower dollar amount projects, they can be a higher percentage pretty quickly.
Okay.
Thank you. Main thing is we're not doing any underground work, which is kind of nice. Probably get it done a little quicker than some of these that we've done the last few years. So,
Well, now you brought up a question. What is our underground situation over there?
The utilities are in good shape there.
That's on Graydon?
far end of
The
grade.
far end of Graydon, yep. So the south end. Copper piping, after discussion, these utilities are in good shape that they did not need to be replaced at this time.
I didn't understand the last part about copper pipe.
The water main and services are, or not the water main, but the services are copper pipe. We don't have an issue with water leaking and anything like that. So we felt like we could do a resurfacing at this time and in future replacements of the pavement, readdress the utilities at that time.
Thank you.
So looking ahead, the older side of that neighborhood, the original side of that neighborhood to the north is probably in worse shape, which we'll get to further
Okay.
down the road. All right,
I'd move to approve their recommendation.
motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item, we have a discussion on South Brainerd Alley resurfacing scope. Again, Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff is requesting direction from the City Council on the scope of work to include with the South Brainerd Alley when we request proposals from engineering firms for design and construction services. As we stated last spring, the current work includes replacement of the water main and water services within the alley with the resurfacing of the pavement between Ronald and Joseph Streets. BPU is also looking to loop the water main on the north end of the alley to the stub on 6th Street and then further to loop the water main to 7th. This is going to require repaving of at least the north portion of Joseph Street. I did try and send out a couple photos this afternoon to the council, so you had that for reference. Both Joseph and Ronald were last resurfaced in 1991 and have exceeded their expected pavement life. Both are showing signs of deterioration. Some options for the council to consider would be to, one, just resurface the north side of Joseph and the alley as currently scoped. This is going to be the most economical option, and staff would keep Ronald and the rest of Joseph on the list for a future resurfacing. A second option would be to resurface all of Joseph between 6th and 7th, so it wouldn't have two different ages of pavement on the same block. A third option would be to resurface both Joseph and Ronald Streets between 6th and 7th. As most of the rest of the neighborhoods east of 6th Street have been resurfaced somewhat recently, staff would recommend including resurfacing of both Joseph and Ronald in the scope of work. This could be bid later as a bid alternate for consideration, however, would be at least included in the design should it be advantageous to include with the project. So that's why staff is recommending that option at this time to include it with the scope. It's a lot easier to start with it included in the scope for part of the design, and then decide that it's not the time to do it later, rather than the other way around.
Thank you. So what we're looking at is 2 single blocks of street, Brown Joseph. One of those has to be half done. Another one has to have a chunk right in the middle of it crossed and overdone. If we do them now, we don't have to touch them probably for 40 years.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So what's that on our, we have a 5-year plan, is it, for streets or longer? Where's that fall, these 2 streets?
It is not currently on that plan.
Okay. All right, is that gonna get updated sometime, or? Because we
We update it every year, so it is it just doesn't necessarily fall within the priority. Is those 2 blocks are probably not in worse shape than other blocks within other city streets, especially when you consider the underground utilities underneath them. So it doesn't rank as a higher priority. It just happens to be that we're doing some work adjacent to it, so there's some convenience there too.
Additionally, if we do it now, we won't have like mobilization to worry about in the future if they were gonna hold off, right?
Yes, sir.
Probably. Is that-
Prices are only going up.
Yeah, okay.
The number that you told me, I believe, was, I don't want to put a number in your mouth that you told me, but the difference between doing what we have to do and just resurfacing those streets was pretty minimal compared to the scope of the entire project. I can't remember what you estimated.
Like paving in the alley is going to be much more difficult, so it's going to be a lot more costly for the paver. Paving the streets is going to be a lot more easier for them, so the cost to pave the streets is going to be much more easier to do for them, so the cost is going to be a little bit less, or quite a bit less than the cost for paving the alley. So
roughly
it is
as a
economical to do it at the same time, but bidding them almost separately together for the same contractor.
Roughly, though, as a percentage of the project, it doesn't, for the amount of resurfacing that there is there, it doesn't really blow the budget out of proportion.
No, sir.
Okay.
I would say you're probably looking at maybe another $150,000,
150.
and some of that would be assessed.
Okay. Wasn't thinking it was that high. I don't remember the amount that the alley project actually is supposed to cost off the top of my head.
Well, I'm in favor of doing this. Tiffany, I'm sorry to.
No, I'm also in favor of including it in the scope of work. We can always say.
I agree. It's gonna look patchy and it'll break apart faster if we don't just.
I would move to approve recommendation of item 3 or B, or C rather, or whatever it is.
Option 3,
Option 3.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 5, we have approval of Buffalo Hills Gully amended contract amount and SEH amendment. Again, Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff is requesting council authorization to amend the Buffalo Hills Gully contract amount and approve a contract amendment for SEH for construction administration. During construction, staff and the contractor agreed that some additional fill, topsoil, and hydroseeding would be needed to stabilize the gully and reestablish some vegetation. With the final seeding completed, staff has a more accurate quantity of the projected final quantities to complete the work. So staff is requesting allowing to pay up to $895,000 on the project, which would cover the work that's been completed as well as the tree plantings that we're planning for this fall. Further work is going to be required next spring with the live stakes. Staff is also requesting a contract amendment for SEH to complete the construction administration on the project. Some additional hours beyond what was estimated are needed to bring the project to completion. In that amendment is in the amount of $8207. Staff is agreeing with this request. In reviewing the additional construction work as well as the contract amendment for SEH, staff has reviewed the grant funding. The city was responsible for a $244,000 grant match on this project. Crow Wing Soil and Water has committed an additional $35,000 to assist with the cost in the project. With the additional funding and the projected final costs, staff is estimating that the city's final share would be about $249,000, so about $5,000 over the original grant match amount. So staff is recommending authorizing up to $895,000 in construction funds and approval of the SEH contract amendment in the amount of $8,207.
Thank you. So just to be clear, the 35,000 covered by Crow Wing Soil and Water Conservation District, which is an excellent organization, if I do say. That's more for covering what's happening in the spring with this, what did you call it?
The live stakes.
Live stakes?
It
Or is it
just,
for,
just towards
anything?
the project, really, not anything specific. So originally, the grant was for $975,000. They hold $70,000 out for the Soil and Water Conservation District to be able to administer the grant. It's kind of like an escrow. They didn't need to utilize all of that $70,000, so they felt that they could move $35,000 back towards the city to use.
excellent.
What, could you explain, I have to apologize, I think this is the first time I actually heard the city's share was 200 and what thousand?
244,000. That's
grant match.
25,000
match,
or
that's what I thought.
25% of the
Okay.
grant. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. I don't believe I ever heard that
Is it a
before.
20% grant match?
25.
25% grant match.
244, a million.
Yep. Right around $1 million. All right, so staff's looking to authorize up to $895,000 for the Buffalo Hills Gully project and approve of the SEH contract amendment in the amount of $8,207.
So moved.
I'll second, I just have one thing to say.
Sure.
I had a call with Jesse and went over a lot of stuff with, I really appreciate it, his explanation of the way this has all worked and kind of a description, because I really didn't quite understand it, but now I do. So, thank you very much for that.
All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, we have a approval of Minnesota DNR ash tree grant agreement. And this one is, again, Public Works Director Jesse Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the DNR has reached out to staff with some available grant dollars for emerald ash borer management through the replacement of some poor condition ash trees. Attached is a grant agreement for $45,000 in grant dollars to provide for removal of 14 ash trees and planting of about 20 new trees. Apologies for the typo in the agenda request. The ratio is closer to 1.5 to 1, not 2 to 1. A couple of the requirements of the grant include prevailing wages for the contractor. New trees cannot include species over 10% represented currently within the city. Include a 3-year maintenance plan, and that funds be expended by the end of June of 2025. Staff is recommending approval of the grant agreement with the DNR for the EAB management.
Thank you.
What does the maintenance plan include?
Documentation of watering and other potentially pruning. There's probably not going to be a ton of pruning in the first 3 years, but every time we have to fill like the watering bags that we're likely going to use for those are the kind of documentations that we have to continue to keep over the first 3 years.
Thank you. So we're going to be losing a lot of trees. This is a good grant to start taking advantage of annually if we can.
I'd move to approve this item.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, this is our direction on active code enforcement cases. This one is for Community Development Director James Kramvik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff has included 2 properties in tonight's agenda request. The first property is 813 Holly Street. This one has been reviewed once before by Safety and Public Works Committee. Staff does recommend at this time a $300 citation and abatement of 813 Holly Street, and that all future animal feces violations within 1 year of the last violation will receive a $300 citation and abatement. This is similar to what we do if we've already abated it. The issue seems to be at this one that we send maybe a letter that says we're going to abate it, they clean it up, and then it continues to be a problem. It has significantly affected the neighboring properties. I've been out there myself to view and smell the area, and after a rain event, when it's humid and muggy, there is a significant effect to the neighboring properties. We have tried working with this property owner. They said they were going to be cleaning this up twice per week, and based on the pictures and viewing myself, that certainly hasn't happened here. So that's why staff is recommending this recommendation tonight, and that's kind of based on past history of not cleaning this property up. So I can answer any questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Is there, I don't want you to speak anything personal about anybody, but is there some situation there where it's maybe the lack of being able to pick it up is related to some disability or something or anything like that?
They have somewhat claimed that, slightly with their significant other. However, this person does work out of town, so we had kind of a twice a week plan to clean things up. Based on the pictures here, certainly looks like it hasn't been done in a week and a half to 2 weeks when I visited it. So, not being done, we certainly tried to work with them.
Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? We have a motion?
I move that we move forward with staff's recommendation.
Second.
And we're taking out item number 2?
Yep, and to note, the second one did clean up their property, so staff is not recommending any abatement on the second property.
Okay. Just want to
Yeah.
make sure that
I
that was
wasn't sure if he
mentioned.
was waiting to give
Yep,
us
yep.
that one separate.
All right. All right, so motion and a second on moving forward with recommendation number 1. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And we have just an additional discussion item added by Mr. Chesak, and I will let you take over for that one. Mr.
Yeah, I've had some serious concerns raised at the corner of Fifth Avenue and D Street. I know we could come back at our next meeting. Maybe we could think about giving staff direction to look at this. I just wanted to bring it up. If we could have a short conversation. I'm getting people telling me there's cars that just aren't stopping. They think the stop signs are too high. I say they're at regulation height. I mean, I understand their concern, you know. I could be the guy crossing the street there and get hit by the car, you know. So I definitely understand. And just last year there was a individual that just moved in over there, and he's in a wheelchair, and he was going around the corner from Fifth, going east on D, and then he's crossing D, and somebody turned the corner right and almost hit him. So they're not, that's at a stop sign, you know? So you'd think if they're at a stop sign, they would have stopped and saw he's there, but, so this is.
Maybe we could, sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt
that's
you.
fine, go ahead.
Maybe we could direct staff to check out the intersection, see if there's anything blocking any lines of sight, and come back with a recommendation at the next.
Yeah, and then we did talk about the flags that we've done on different, I
Yep.
think, Eighth and Laurel, so yeah, whatever, have 'em, just look at it
Yeah.
and see what they think, yeah.
Mr. Dean?
Can I ask a quick clarifying question? Do you hear anything specific about the direction? Is it more
Yeah, that's
all
a
of
good
them,
question.
or is it mostly on
I'll tell you
Fifth?
what, I'll ask and email you back
Okay.
after, like, in the next day or two. Fair enough? See what they- Yeah.
I have noticed it's probably the north-south that isn't stopping when I go through there.
Coming off of 210.
Well, you don't
Yeah.
stop either?
Well, that was at E, that I don't stop, where there isn't a stop sign.
No, it would
Yeah.
stand to reason. It's Fifth Avenue. It's a wider street, and
Yeah.
I think, Jeff, if you're going to email, then we probably don't need a motion. If you want to email Mr. Dean.
Because then it goes on the agenda for
It'll
next
go on
time.
the
Oh, I'll just say okay. I'll just do that then. That's fair enough.
All right, excellent. And then we do have somebody who wanted to speak tonight. Do you want to come up and speak for a couple minutes? Yes, sir. Just name and address before you speak.
My name is David Braverman. I currently have been staying at 603 10th Street Southeast, or out on a what I would call affectionately Jackass Ranch in Aiken. 2 years ago, my ex decided to collaborate with a friend of hers, and well, they both went into the courthouse and gathered paperwork to put an order for protection out, okay? And mine had, at the time of the hearings, because I contested it, I didn't have anything as far as any proof of anything, okay? Now, I know you guys know my address, the house that I own, because it must have been brought up in here many times. I currently own 1113 Rosewood Street, okay? In the 2 years that I have not been allowed to go to my house because of this, I'm sure my address has come up, but my ex would take and put bags of garbage on a trailer, and sometimes just in the yard and all this and that. And of course, I've had conversations with James and a couple other people, but it has gone Now, all those fines have gone to the property tax. It's about $4,000 or a little more than that, okay? Now, I need to make you understand that, one, I have all the proof that I'm not the bad guy that was being played out in court, but I had no control over my property. There was no way I was allowed to go within 2 blocks of my house to take care of this stuff. That being said, what needs to come out now is on the 22nd of this month, I'm going to be repossessing the house because that is when the order disappears, or the order it's over. I've already been in contact with James because they're talking about another fine because of how tall the grass is back there, and I had made promises to everybody that I would have it taken care of before the end of the month. What I'm kind of asking, I guess, I don't know if I'm asking it right, but maybe to be put on the agenda to have you guys forgive those fines that have been added to my taxes now, because there again, I was not there to physically control what was going on. And to be honest with you, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I honestly don't deserve these fines because this was not me doing it. And of course, that's a lot of money for me. So
You said the 22nd is when you take back over, where you can move back in and take
yes,
care of the...
I've already been in contact with the police department about this because, like I said, I've been in court, in and out of court administrations, asking questions, trying to figure out everything, because I went to school to be a cop, not to be a lawyer or a judge.
Sure.
So their procedures kind of get me. I did ask Danielle. Danielle in the court administration said that this order just done. Once it's expired, it's done. My ex is not currently staying in that house at this point, and has, from what I was told, recently in court, stated to the court that she no longer lives at that address.
Okay, so I think since you're able to take back over in just a few days, we'll have another meeting first week of September. I would suggest speaking with James, and we can gather all the information on the history in the last few years that you've been dealing with this, and look at the different fines that have gone through, and then we can discuss it in a regular agenda meeting item for Safety and Public Works in a couple weeks, and then we can decide what to do with it from there.
That is acceptable to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, and then we can adjourn to the council meeting.
Wonderful.